The object known as 3I Atlas is not behaving, it is performing. And with every new data point, the performance becomes more brazen, more inexplicable, and more terrifying for those of us who understand what the data implies. Let's be clear. The initial detection on July 1st, 2025 was a milestone. A third interstellar visitor confirming that our solar system is a crossroads for galactic debris. But what we have witnessed since is no longer a matter of simple celestial mechanics. It is a cascade of anomalies that, when viewed together, form a picture so coherent in its strangeness that it points to a single, inescapable conclusion: the lighthouse in the void, unexplained brightness, and the question of internal illumination. The first and most fundamental rule of passive celestial bodies is that they reflect light. They do not generate their own visible light in any significant, sustained way. The initial observations of 3I Atlas shattered this premise. When first spotted, the light did not come from a diffuse, glowing cloud of gas and dust, a coma, as is universal with comets. The light seemed to emanate directly from its surface. This is not a minor detail. It is a fundamental violation of how inert rock and ice behave in space. Think of it this way. We see the moon because it reflects sunlight. We see a comet's coma because sunlight energizes the released gases, causing them to fluoresce. But if you were to look at the moon and see it glowing with its own inherent light, as if it had a built-in light bulb, you would know immediately that something was profoundly wrong. This is what we faced with 3I Atlas. The null hypothesis that it is a simple, natural object began to crumble from the very first moment. The suggestion that this was merely unusual reflection is a desperate attempt to cling to a paradigm that is no longer supported by the evidence. The spectral data did not show the broad, smooth continuum of reflected sunlight, but rather emission features indicative of an energy source. Then came the outbursts. The jump from 18th to 12th magnitude is not just brightening. It is a volcanic, explosive increase in luminosity. In practical terms, this represents an increase in brightness by a factor of over 250 times. While cometary outbursts are known, they are typically associated with the sudden exposure of fresh, volatile ice to solar heating, causing a temporary, chaotic jet. The brightening of 3I Atlas is different. It is not a single chaotic event. It is a series of controlled, intense flares. The light curve does not resemble the jagged, unpredictable spike of a fragmenting comet, but rather the deliberate, powerful pulse of a system discharging energy. This is not the behavior of a dirty snowball. It is the signature of a power plant. The chromatic shift, a deliberate signal, or a system's activation. The color change from red to green is perhaps the most visually startling anomaly. In natural comets, color is a direct diagnostic of chemistry. A reddish hue typically indicates complex organic molecules, or dust, rich in iron compounds. A green hue is almost exclusively the signature of diatomic carbon, C2, a molecule that fluoresces green when excited by ultraviolet light from the sunday. 3I Atlas has performed this chromatic shift, but it has done so by breaking the very rules it seems to be invoking. Spectroscopic analysis from the James Webb Space Telescope has confirmed a devastating fact. There is no significant diatomic carbon in its coma. The green glow, one of the most classic hallmarks of a comet, is being produced without the classic compound that causes it. This is the equivalent of seeing a fire without fuel, or hearing a sound without a vibration. It is an effect without a known cause. This forces us to consider radical alternatives. Is the green light being produced by a different, unknown molecule, one not native to our solar system? This is possible, but it would require a chemistry so alien that it has no analog in our entire database of cometary and interstellar spectra. The more unsettling possibility is that the green light is not molecular fluorescence at all, but the product of an engineered process. It could be the glow from a specific type of plasma discharge, or even the intentional emission from a lighting or signaling system. The color green is significant. It occupies the center of the human visual spectrum, the wavelength to which our eyes are most sensitive. Is this a coincidence, or is it a design choice? The orchestrated trajectory, a flight path that defies chance. Let us now examine the path of 3I Atlas, for its motion is perhaps the most statistically damning evidence against a natural origin. My colleague Avi Loeb has correctly highlighted the infinitesimal probability, 1 inch, 20,000, of a random object making such a precise series of flybys past Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. This is not just a number, it is a verdict. In the science of astrodynamics, such efficiency is the hallmark of design, not accident. Consider the parallels to our own space mission. When we sent the Voyager probes on their grand tour of the outer planets, we spent years calculating gravity assist maneuvers to use planetary gravity as a slingshot, conserving precious fuel. The trajectory of 3I Atlas is a masterpiece of such orbital choreography. It is taking the perfect scenic route through our solar system, a route that maximizes planetary encounters while minimizing the energy required for course adjustments. Furthermore, its arrival at perihelion is timed with a precision that screams of deliberation. It will reach its closest approach to the sun, the moment of greatest energy input, the moment when any intelligent system would perform critical maneuvers, precisely when it is hidden from our view, occulted by the sun itself. The sun becomes a perfect shield, blocking our telescopes and our prying eyes. From a tactical standpoint, this is impeccable tradecraft. It is the act of an entity that understands surveillance and knows how to evade it. If you wanted to change your velocity, alter your course, or deploy smaller probes undetected, you would do it exactly then and there. The chemical fingerprint, the signature of non-terrestrial technology. The JWST spectroscopic data has provided us with a chemical inventory that is not just unusual, it is aberrant. The CO2 dominance, the 8-to-1 ratio of carbon dioxide to water, is not merely an outlier. It is a message that the formation environment of 3I Atlas was nothing like our own solar system. Such a ratio suggests a protoplanetary disk that was either incredibly rich in carbon and poor in oxygen, or one that underwent a process that sequestered or destroyed water ice on a massive scale. While not impossible, it places 3I Atlas in a category of 1. More critically, from an engineering perspective, CO2 can be a propellant. Could this dominance be a signature of its fuel supply or exhaust? The nickel-iron discrepancy, the detection of gaseous nickel in the complete absence of iron, is the chemical equivalent of a fingerprint at a crime scene. In the universe we know, these elements are cosmically coupled. Their separation on an atomic level requires sophisticated industrial processes like fractional distillation or chemical leaching processes that do not occur in nature. The presence of pure nickel vapor is a flag that signals material processing. It suggests the object contains components, wiring, or structural elements that are now outgassing as they heat up. The missing cyanogen. The fact that cyanogen gas appeared after the nickel is another reversal of the standard cometary sequence. It hints at a layered, complex internal structure where different materials are exposed at different temperatures rather than a homogeneous mix of ices. The mothership hypothesis and the proliferation of anomalies. Professor Loeb's mothership hypothesis is no longer a fringe idea. It is the leading theoretical framework that can coherently explain the totality of the data. The idea is elegant and terrifying. 3I Atlas is a large autonomous interstellar vehicle, a carrier craft. Its sudden, intense outbursts of brightness are not random eruptions, but controlled events, the deployment of smaller probes. Think of it as a celestial aircraft carrier. The outburst is the launch of its aircraft. The fact that Comet C divided by 2025 F2 was initially suspected of being a fragment, only to be ruled out by its opposing trajectory, does not invalidate the hypothesis. It merely means that particular object was not one of its probes. The concept remains sound. If 3I Atlas is an intelligent actor, it would not release all its probes on a single vector. It would deploy them on diverse trajectories to maximize coverage of the inner solar system. The sudden proliferation of interstellar objects, Oumuamua, Borisov, and now 3I Atlas, in less than a decade is also telling. Is it a coincidence? Or is it that our surveillance technology has finally reached a threshold where we can detect the traffic that has always been there? We have moved from being an isolated island to realizing we are situated in a busy shipping lane. The historical and signal context, the wow. Signal and the Sagittarius vector. The fact that 3I Atlas originated from the direction of the Sagittarius constellation, the same region of the sky from which the famous wow signal was detected in 1977, cannot be casually dismissed. While correlation does not equal causation, in a serious investigation, it is a clue that must be pursued. The wow signal was a powerful narrowband radio signal that bore all the hallmarks of an artificial origin and has never been satisfactorily explained. That an object exhibiting profoundly artificial characteristics comes from the same celestial neighborhood is a synchronism that demands attention. It raises the possibility that we are not looking at a lone wanderer, but a representative from a specific source. The upcoming Martian encounter, the moment of truth. All of this leads to the imminent encounter with Mars on October 3rd, 2025. This is not just another orbital milestone. This is a potential disclosure event. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, with its high-rise camera, will attempt to image 3I Atlas. While the resolution of about 30 kilometers per pixel may seem low, it is more than sufficient to answer critical questions. We will be able to determine the object's precise shape, looking for the geometric, non-random forms characteristic of technology, as opposed to the lumpy, irregular shapes of asteroids and comets. More importantly, by analyzing the object against the blackness of space, we can perform precise photometry to finally settle the debate over internal illumination. Does it glow with its own light or not? Other spacecraft like the Psyche mission and ESA's JUICE probe may also have observational opportunities. We are, for the first time, deploying a multi-point sensor net to study an interstellar object. Conclusion: the end of innocence. We stand at a precipice in human history. For centuries, we have gazed at the stars and wondered if we were alone. The data from 3I Atlas is providing an answer, and it is not the one from our hopeful dreams. The combination of internal illumination and controlled, powerful outbursts. A color change driven by an unknown, non-natural process. A trajectory so optimized it cannot be a product of chance. a chemical signature indicating advanced material processing, a historical context that links it to previous cosmic mysteries. This is not a series of isolated curiosities. This is a pattern that points unequivocally towards an artificial, intelligent origin. 3i Atlas is likely an automated probe from a civilization so ancient that its builders may have turned to dust billions of years ago. But their machinery endures, silently executing its long-term mission to survey star systems, to monitor for emergent life, and perhaps to prepare the ground. Its passage through our solar system is not a visit. It is an inspection. The name we gave it, 3i Atlas, now seems eerily prescient. It is the third eye of another intelligence now open and looking back at us. When it passes behind the sun, we must be prepared for anything. When it reemerges, its new trajectory will tell us everything. If it has changed course, if it has slowed into an orbit, the world will change in an instant. The cosmos is not a peaceful wilderness. It is an ancient, complex, and likely dangerous place. We are no longer mere observers. We have become part of the equation. The arrival of 3i Atlas marks the end of our cosmic childhood and the beginning of a terrifying and exhilarating new maturity.